You said we're going to do something to your brain.
Hey, and welcome to Dead Air 17. This week we're talking about Frasier, The Fall of the House of Usher, Twin Flames, a documentary about, and so on. What are we doing first, Christina?
First,
My wife.
My wife.
Nah.
He'd get that. Fall of the House of Usher is what we have first.
Yeah. It's this new poem from this young man called Poe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, Netflix show. I think it just came out like 2 days ago. All the episodes at once. So, thanks for that at least.
We've seen 2 of them, so we can't even comment on the whole thing.
Yep, just watched 2 of them.
And it's...
Did have some thoughts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And it's written and directed by...
Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, and I think created by...
Yeah, created by, written by, directed by is definitely what it said at the first one in the credits, yeah. Which did kind of catch my eye a little bit, because, yeah, I know he did Dr. Sleep, which I really enjoyed, until the haunted house ride at the very end.
Monsters.
Yeah, until the monsters. But
I like it because he'd obviously seen the House of Horrors episode, The Shinning. You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, where Homer gets locked into the meat
Mm-hmm.
thing, and then he's just eating.
Yeah.
Mo says, me and the other ghouls have been talking. And then it is like Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, a mummy. Is there a mummy in Dr. Sleep at the end? There's something weird. It is pretty kind of... Nah.
Yeah. Is there a mummy? I can't... There might be. It's all the spooky shit that we see that's very... just there for like a little bit and, a little bit more subtle.
Dr. Sleep, if you don't know, is a prequel to The Shining that was made what?
Sequel.
It's a sequel to The Shining, that's right, yeah, sorry. That was made in 2021?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, based off the book, as well, the Stephen King book, about young Danny grows up and is an alcoholic, and is still psychic and works in hospice care, trying to ease people back, ease people in their transition into death, right? Mm-hmm. And he becomes aware of a very psychic little girl and some like psychic vampires who are looking for her. It's the basic of the plot. Yeah.
And it's really good. It's
pretty good.
It's got a lot of tension and
Ewan McGregor.
Layered with atmosphere, and then they inevitably go back to the hotel in The Shining for a face-off, a psychic face-off. And then it just ends as kind of like the monsters.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't read that one, but I have read The Shining a few times. And I mean, I don't know, not knowing, I know that does happen in the book Dr. Sleep. They do go back to the Overlook, where the Overlook was. Because in the book, The Shining, the Overlook is destroyed at the end when the boiler explodes. And in the movie, obviously, that's not what happens, so... I don't know, you have to kind of...
The nuclear reactor
make
melts
those
down.
things work together. Yeah, I mean, it's not really worth going into, but Jack basically, he's supposed to be checking on the boiler every so often. Every kind of time he goes down there, one of the spooky ghosts is telling him, your family and stuff, and then they just kind of like let it blow up, if I remember correctly.
That's good.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie, Dr.
Yeah.
Sleep. It was pretty good. I can't remember that lady's name who plays head vampire lady. God, what's her name? I can't remember. She was really good. She was goofy and pretty extra in a way that I thought worked.
Stop saying that. Where have you picked that up from? Extra.
I've made it up. It's a thing now.
You've made it up?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
If you make something up, don't make it so obvious. Be like, she's a bit lemony. Lemony. Lemony.
Extra.
I think she was a bit lemony fresh.
Lemony fresh? I do like that.
Whereas Ewan McGregor was a much more sort of nuanced, minty fresh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the little girl, who's also in the House of Usher, don't know her name either, because we didn't bother preparing for it. She was kind of like, a specialist toothpaste that's a powder for people who don't like paste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought she was good in it.
She was good. She was really good.
Yeah,
She was very creepy.
Yeah, she did a good job. I mean, especially, I love the scene where, we're not going to talk about this movie, but where she's been kidnapped and is in the car, and the other vampire dude is driving, and Ewan McGregor is like speaking to her like through his mind, and he's like more or less, "Let me take over your body for a moment." Remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Sorry. No, I love that.
Yeah. Do you remember the bit where Danny goes to that place and he's talking to that guy? Oh, do you remember that bit with Danny?
I do, yeah.
Do you remember that bit with not Shelley Duvall?
Poor Shelley Duvall.
Why?
Well, she's crazy now, right?
Is she?
Yeah, have you not seen that interview with her?
No.
From like,
From when?
God, I want to say it was like 20 years ago or something now, but she's possibly has lost her marbles. That's all.
What?
I'll show you later.
What did she say in the interview?
I can't even remember what she's saying. It's just she seems like, I don't know, emotionally unwell.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean she's lost her marbles.
Yeah.
Might be worried about something. Oh, I left the oven on.
Yeah, could be. Could be. Anywho,
what was your favourite bit about The Shining, Shelley? The bit where I got my paycheck. Bye.
all the torture.
The bit where we finished.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, that was a good movie. I have to revisit that.
Oh, right. I didn't know that about Shelley Duvall. That's a shame because she was great.
Yeah.
Great in Time Bandits.
Yeah. Yeah. She was.
Pansy.
Great in Popeye.
She was great. She was great Olive Oil.
Yeah.
Wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Altman's Popeye. Yeah.
So.
Popeye babies. He doesn't need that though, does he? He's franchised into chicken.
Spinach.
Yeah.
Canned spinach.
Popeye's canned spinach with a G. Yeah, but think about how much you would get in a can.
About 16 ounces, I imagine.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, by volume.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Yeah, but you open the can and it like if you've seen it, it like springs into his mouth. It's like compacted spinach. Mm-hmm. Like you get a good bang for your buck, right?
It's on a spring. Yeah. That's actually where the power comes from.
It's actually a magazine for a spinach gun that he loads and puts into his mouth. Sorry, he spat then.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been talking to anybody and accidentally spat on them?
I accidentally get spat on all the time by somebody talking.
You're lucky you don't have a mustache. Makes it worse.
What are you talking about? You don't have a mustache? Yeah, you do.
Well, not like okay, you're lucky you don't look like Stalin.
Yeah, well, thanks to me. Who knows what you'd be doing with all this? If I weren't saying no, never mind.
If you weren't saying no, you can't have handlebars.
Yeah, no handlebars.
Brother! Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, no, if I wasn't with you, I guess I'd have, it'd be like, yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
I guess it depends, because, like, your facial hair grows in funny ways.
I look like Uncle Albert.
It kind of grows like, yeah, you're like, this is normal, like, more fast here, but then you get, like, this growth up here that's faster, too.
So I have big mutton chops.
It's like your face wants to have mutton chops.
Yeah, because it's patchy around here.
Mm-hmm. It's lighter there. Yeah.
So it's either mutton chops or, I suspect, it's actually like the pure redneck, like Joe Dirt's hair that grows naturally.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't connect.
Oh,
So it's like, it's got big, like Ricky sideburns, and then a Julian goatee.
Mm.
Yeah.
Tink, 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 tink.
What's that?
Julian, everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Yeah, Fall of the House of Usher. So, excuse me. Ugh. More peppermint tea.
No, when I'm drinking, you don't drink. We've been through this. We've done the drills.
What kind do you have today?
Remember, we're recording ourselves. Do you remember that?
Nobody's watching this.
And yet still.
Okay, Fall of the House of Usher. So
That's harsh.
Just came out a couple days ago.
There's 8 people that watch this regularly. Yes, Fall of the House of Usher. Usher.
Not that Usher.
I always think of that Usher.
Yeah. When I first saw it pop up on Netflix, I was like, a documentary about Usher or something? I don't give a shit about that.
I'm pretty sure that the first time I ever saw the House of Usher with Vincent Price, it was in like the TV guide, and it was like, I thought like 1968 or whatever. I don't know. Like Usher's not that old, is he? I didn't realise he'd taken his name from Poe.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, would you like to explain what it is and what it's about so far?
It's a TV show made on Netflix about a horrible family, the Usher family, and their fall.
Yeah.
And Bruce Greenwood is Daddy Usher.
Yeah.
And
pardon me, sorry.
Essentially he's narrating it. Really, he's explaining how it's come to be that all 6 of his children have died in the last 2 weeks.
He's like the patriarch of the family.
You know, and it's hinted at that he's possibly made a deal with the devil before they were born, possibly. Or he might be going mental with all the stress.
And,
who knows?
Shares the name of the Poe short story, Fall of the House of Usher. Didn't see the original movie of that. And never read the story. I did look through Wikipedia briefly a few minutes ago. See, I prepare. And it looks like the story is pretty unrelated to this, necessarily.
I think it's a lot of different Poe ideas.
Yeah, well, that became more clear by the second episode.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The macaque of death.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is where I have some thoughts. Yeah, seeing that the second episode was titled Mask of the Red Death, which I have read many years ago, and we find out that his son, like, when he was talking about all his, like, asshole children, like, in the first episode, and he has a son called Prospero, which was tickling my brain thing. Prospero.
Petrocchio, petrochemical.
Sounds familiar. Like, oh yeah, Mask of the Red Death. So, here's, like, the one... I'm going to watch more of it. I'm going to
watch all of it.
I'm going to watch all of it. There's 8. They're all out now. So I'm interested. Bruce Greenwood, great. You know, there's some... Mark Hamill is in it. Needs more Mark Hamill.
Oh, he's good, isn't he?
He's good in everything, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that, though. Was it Children of the Corn? The one where he plays the priest. We've talked about this before.
Have we?
I think, is it Children of the Corn or Children of the Damned? Or Damned of the Corn?
I can't remember.
He plays a priest. It's the one with Christopher Reeve.
Okay.
Christopher Reeve? Reeves.
It's not ringing a bell.
He's not great in it.
Okay.
I mean, it's like 1979, 1980, perhaps.
Okay,
but
right.
No one's great in it.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, it needs more Mark Hamill with his evil lawyer man, like leather gloves and...
Yeah.
He's really great at voices, huh? Best Joker.
Best Joker, yeah.
Absolutely,
So,
well, just real quick, make my point since I'm already going off the rails here. When I saw this part of the like issue I have now, which if you've never read any Poe and you can stop yourself from looking up any of it with like these episode titles, it probably wouldn't make no difference. But as soon as I see Mask of the Red Death, it clicked for me. Prospero, right? Prince Prospero in Mask of the Red Death, who has a big party while the plague is going on, and masked person comes in
and goes,
and they're pretty, you know, the idea of they're like, there's people
they're wearing a mask,
living in luxury and having this big party while all the peasants are dying outside, and then this masked person comes in. Eventually, like, mask comes off. There's like nothing underneath it, and then they all die of more or less the plague, like bleeding from every pore. So
what, like insta plague?
Yeah, it's like within the hour or something, you die from it.
Some of that super plague.
Just like bleeding out your skin and stuff, from what I recall. So like as soon as I noticed Prospero, and then it clicked when I saw the episode title, the next one, I was like, oh, so this big party, this orgy party that his son is gonna have, everybody's gonna die at the end. And I think that can work on the level of like if the audience has some kind of understanding of what's going to happen, but the characters don't, that can work. But I didn't feel like there was enough of a payoff for me to have the knowledge inside of like basically what's going to happen, you know what I mean? Because you take out like the shock or surprise element, and then what actually happens is actually not that interesting. to me.
But I mean,
What did
the
you
audience, if the audience knows that now, that each episode, probably,
Yeah.
one of the kids is going to die.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could guess that anyway, that one of the kids is going to die each episode, pretty much. That's not too shocking, so. And it could, I was thinking this, it could kind of, like, make you prepared in, like, a fun way to see those deaths, and if they're, like, really awful. Because they're really building it up. These people are absolute pieces of garbage.
Well, you say that. What was Perry doing? Prospero, what was he doing that was so bad? I mean, I agree, he came across like a greasy piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, greasy, sure, but, I mean, mostly just being like a...
He wasn't a rapist, he wasn't a murderer, he wasn't
spoiled,
a pimp.
very, very selfish, doesn't give two shits about, because, okay, maybe this is a good
Yeah, but
point
who's his victim?
Well, I mean, fair enough, I suppose. Fair enough, I guess. Maybe just being an asshole isn't enough.
No, I'm not really arguing that. I'm just,
Well, I guess you can make an argument where he's talking about, they have the bit with Mark Hamill, lawyer, where they're like sitting at the table and he's talking about these old buildings that we own, and there's like toxic chemicals in there and stuff, and
they're all
who
chemical
cares?
plants,
I'm gonna
right?
have an orgy in one of them, and I mean, again, it's like, okay, click, I get it. You know what's gonna happen and stuff.
And I don't think you saw because you were frying an egg, but there was a couple of how would you call it? A couple of like ventilation shaft shots of the sprinkler. A couple of shots of the sprinkler looking menacing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I was cooking eggs, and you were like, "It's gonna be the chemicals."
Yeah, I said it like that. Actually, chemicals can quickly move through your body. Yeah. So I don't think we're spoiling anything by saying at the end of the first episode, Perry, the youngest Usher, except for the girl, who I'm not sure, Lenore. I'm not sure if he isn't. She isn't. I can't.
Yeah.
They're dancing and they're having a orgy rave.
Into the second episode, yeah.
End of the second episode, and he thinks it would be great if the sprinklers went off.
Because that's what you want when you're at a dancing on a dance floor. I want to get covered in water.
Yeah, with your phone and everything.
No phones allowed, remember?
My drinks.
Yeah, because he was talking about, this is the real plan with doing this. That's a senator's daughter.
Oh, he was recording everything.
He was recording everyone, yeah. In the lame dance party room, plus sex rooms, I guess.
So, yeah, I mean, there is quite a lot to talk about here, really, isn't there? It was not nuanced.
Yeah, it's
in any way.
Definitely has the nuance of a brick wall.
You're meant to hate them. They're meant to be the Sacklers. There's this whole stuff about like they've invented an opioid that's non-addictive
because it has a proprietary coating that will make it non-addictive, that will absorb more slowly. And, yeah.
One of them's called Madeline.
Apparently, that's actually a character name from.
Fair enough. The lawyer's name is Arthur.
Yeah.
It's definitely taken a lot from the Sacklers. I mean, like
a lot.
It almost feels like Mike Flanagan at one point wanted to do a play about the Sacklers and was like, oh,
I'll just incorporate that into.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he did, but
yeah,
way too much. I think. For something that's taking itself usually quite seriously.
I got it in the first episode, and I was like, okay, like we kind of looked at each other like that's interesting, but then it like kept coming back. And it's like, I get it, they're evil.
Yeah. So...
just a bit too much.
A bit too much, and the whole death at the end... Yeah, it kind of manages to both be like, horrific. Like, the idea is horrific, that all these people will essentially melt. But, yeah...
But for, like, the build-up...
it's not graphic enough,
it's not... Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like,
we needed screaming.
I needed, like, screaming. I needed, like, eyeballs melting, even just a touch, because there's a lot of shaky cam, it's moving around, and it's kind of like, for the amount of buildup that there was, I was hoping for like a big payoff. Do you know what I mean? And it just was a bit limp for me.
There was a bit where Prospero is lying, and he's got all his makeup on, his pretty good burned makeup, but his nose is intact. That would have been way better if he'd had no nose.
Yeah.
And if there were people like with no eyes, like that famous cartel video, like...
Yeah, I know what you mean. I kind of was it.
Yeah.
Because the build-up I thought was over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, not nuanced in any way, but still like a pretty strong build-up. I just kind of wanted a bigger...
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's okay. I really liked the first episode, and now I can see that it's trashier than I thought it would be. I don't think it's super trashy, but it's trashier than I thought. But I think the kind of interesting conversation is not in how it's made or how it doesn't get tense or it does get tense. It's cultural, right? Because you're meant to hate these people because they're the shacklers and they're so rich and they don't care. But like several of them, we don't really know a lot about yet.
Yeah.
We didn't really get a lot to know about Prospero.
Yeah.
And what did I say? It was like revenge porn, but not porn. But it's kind of like, about fulfilling that sort of...
Yeah, like...
offers catharsis,
at the end, yeah. I know what you mean.
Where you meant to like absolutely hate these people.
Yeah.
And
some of them we just don't have, really enough to... I mean, I'm guessing each episode we'll learn a little bit more about some of them and why they deserve it, I guess.
But what I was gonna say was what's interesting to me is how the rich, especially when they're depicted negatively, which is quite often, and good. Why it's so entwined with promiscuity.
That's what I was just about to say, because the one lady...
It all comes across like, same in Succession, it all comes across like sex hating.
I know what you mean, like
what if they're gonna have a fucking orgy?
Yeah, the one lady who's like with her, I guess they must be her assistants. It's like toward the end of the second episode, and they all get in a bed together.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to make me dislike her? Because I don't really know much about her yet, other than she makes a bitch face. And yeah. I don't think you deserve to die for, having an untraditional sex life. That's not enough for me.
And it never fucking looks like that. Like, the whole idea of, there's a bunch of, young, really rich people, because the party was 20 grand for a ticket. They're going to have... And, you've got, senators' daughters in there, and NFL picks, and business magnates and stuff. They're not going to go into a warehouse and, start fucking on the floor.
Yeah.
Things like that, there'll be a big fucking... You're
gonna rent out 5 floors of a hotel.
Yeah, there'll be cocaine and stuff going around, but all the banging will be in private rooms, and not everyone will be doing that.
Yeah.
I get
it's
you. It's never like that.
Like, you're not gonna go to a filthy ass warehouse.
You're who has orgies like that? Like hardcore biker gangs.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get you on that. Yeah. A little just odd.
Just what is it? Again, not in this alone, but what is it with the connection between, being fabulously, evilly rich, and and also he's fucking these 2 models.
Well, I think
I don't think those people are any more promiscuous than
maybe
non-rich.
That's just the perception, especially to. I mean, I'm just kind of guessing here, but
have you seen the peasants? They fuck like rabbits.
I don't know what the target demographic is for this, but definitely, I guess. How would I say this? If you're a middle-aged, middle America,
thicko,
whatever you want to say,
who
rude. Maybe associates being wealthy with having lots of sex. And so maybe it's just an easy marker for people to identify and be no morality. And I don't really give a shit if people have sex with lots of people. Just, be safe and consensual and who cares.
And don't push oxy on me.
Yeah, don't push oxy on you. And, that's way more evil. Stuff about lying about addiction, getting people on heroin and stuff.
If the Sackler Gallery was called the Sackler Gallery... And the Sacklers were so rich because Arthur Sackler had painted 100 masterpieces in his life. I wouldn't. Maybe I'd be well, that's not really cool that these people have this enormous wealth.
Bit gauche putting your name on everything, you know.
but no damage done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's more like, again, maybe I'm wrong, but I get the sense that that's in there just as a sort of like, they're not moral shortcut, and it just doesn't really work for me. Like, we really needed more of like, I don't know.
Like Succession was more nuanced, huh?
In that, yeah, but I know we mentioned thinking about Succession while watching this. Yeah, more nuanced in terms of like, you can actually see these characters as human beings, dickheads, yeah, but still people. But then also Succession, like, totally wrapped up in a way that was, like, completely non-satisfying to me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Again, only 2 episodes in. What is the other thing I was thinking of with this?
Final Destination?
That wasn't it, but go ahead, though. You got anything to
Does
say?
not remind you of Final Destination?
No.
No?
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see. Like, with the, what's her name? Carla Gugino?
I can't remember.
Yeah, who is possibly the devil. I mean, we know that she shows up in, like, 2 very disparate timelines, and looks exactly the same, so maybe.
And said some devil-like shit.
And said some devil shit, yeah. So...
She says, Bruce Greenwood, if you do this for me, you'll get a fiddle made of gold.
Oh, I remember what I was thinking of as well. In The Boys, where they have the superhero orgy party.
That was funny, though.
Yeah, and like the payoff as well. At the end with, what's his name? Fast running guy, not the Flash. Dragging that dude for like miles at like super speed on the concrete. And that was brutal.
Yeah. Or little tiny man getting bigger inside a person and exploding them.
Yeah. I kind of wanted something way more intense. And not to say that it was like, super milquetoast or anything, but I just kind of stopped shaking around so much and like, yeah, we need some more screaming and, some more... It really could have like capped off that episode in a way that was way more satisfying if it like gave me nightmares, as well as being like, because there's like a juxtaposition, at least for me there, like, oh yeah, some of these people are like rich assholes who don't give a shit about everybody, but then like, oh my god, nobody deserves to die like that. I don't know, maybe that's just me. That would feel more more whatever that word is
in that party of like 100, well, maybe not 100, like 50 people who got melted by the acid. Mm-hmm. There was definitely one person there who, was rich, but they were a nerd and they got dragged along and they were like, well, I don't know, I don't think the first time I should lose my virginity is at an orgy. Like, yeah, you've got to do it, Barry. You've got you're 26 now. Mm-hmm. I know you get nervous, but don't worry. And just there and then gets melted. Mm-hmm. Never did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the devil for you.
One thing I will say about the devil, not a total asshole, because... I don't know if you noticed that she was walking around telling, like, security and bartenders to, like whispering in their ear, and then they all left. So, like, people who were just working at the event, it looks like, maybe I'm wrong, all, like, went out right before this happened. So, saved them, because, just doing your job, man, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, anything else to say? I mean...
Yeah, well, I think with Succession... I felt a bit like, and I understand why they didn't do this, and I do, I quite like Succession, I think, like so many things, it could have been a great, like, one big series.
That was, I think, my main problem. It dragged on too much.
Yeah, some of the acting was really good. Mm-hmm. And I kind of felt like, I wish there had been a good person, like, maybe not a main character good person, but I... sort of started off hoping that the tall cousin would be the one who's like, well, I don't really care about money.
Yeah, the dumb one.
Yeah.
The
dumb one. I thought he was going to be the Claudius.
As well, yeah, toward the beginning, that he'd have more of an impact. And
I think something like that is less needed here. Mm-hmm. And I sort of go to Final Destination because it's like, well, the entertainment is how are these people going to die? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How's this guy going to meet his demise? Because I know he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. which doesn't always do that very well in that series either. Sometimes it does.
But if you want like, you know, the cathartic, revengey sort of feeling, you know, where you've decided to make the House of Usher like basically a proxy Sackler thing, or not a proxy, but a mirror. Wouldn't it have been better if there was someone going after them? Because we've got the Attorney General.
Yeah.
But he's not the one causing all this. I mean, what I'm really saying is, you know, I think one of the most cathartic moments is the end of Once Upon a Time in the West. Where our main character, you finally find out what he's been doing all this time and why, hunting fucking Henry Fonda. And it's like such a good payoff. And it's got like this, like, you know, incredible music and everything. And it's a bit harder, I think, to feel that catharsis when you're watching, you know, fictional revenge, when we don't have anyone to feel that with.
It's almost like you're saying like you need like a character that
has been wronged by these people,
or is like the good guy in some way.
Yeah, I'm not saying we definitely need that, but for me, I prefer, if you're gonna make like, I wouldn't say it's dumb, but if you're gonna make a kind of not nuanced, you know, well shot, nice characters, one series show about this fucking awful family and they get theirs. I would personally prefer something where like 8 episodes. First 7 episodes, we meet our main character who's wronged by them. But the 7 episodes, nothing happens apart from we get to know who they are and like why we really hate them. And then the 8th episode is John Wick. Like it's Johnny Silverhand doing Arasaka Tower. You know.
No, I get where you're coming from because we've like barely gotten to know these characters so far. So, I mean, like I said, the entire build up to. What was his name again? Prospero. You know, kind of seeing his comeuppance. I just feel like there wasn't enough.
No.
You know, we barely got to know anything about him. Like, I see, you know, he doesn't care about, you know, these factories that are, like, pumping toxic chemicals into the ground and blah, blah, blah. You know, some awful shit. I think that kind of is enough, but if there was more, like, of a weight for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if the first death, like, horrific death, because I'm assuming that's what they're all going to be for all these family members, was, like, maybe, like, 3 episodes in.
Or you could do it sort of like I was saying, where there's no death until, like, the last episode and it's just non-stop gore.
I mean, I would love that. I think a lot of people might lose patience with that.
Fair enough.
But I would enjoy that, definitely.
I mean, I'm also the sort of person...
Literally, Keanu Reeves is in the last episode as John Wick.
Yeah, and he's dual-wielding.
Yeah. Dual-wielding.
Yeah, as John Wick. And he's got a silver hand. And a cigar. Yeah. It's like, you gave my dog Oxy. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
I'm mental about it.
You got my dog addicted to heroin. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's John Wick.
But to go to your point about needing somebody like who's been wronged, who is more like a sympathetic protagonist.
I don't think it needs that, but I think for me it would have worked better, maybe.
Well, I get where you're coming from. Just the only thing I'll say about that is, I mean, it sounds like the devil, if that's who she is going to be that person. And that is very Poe, I would say. There aren't a lot of good guys in his stories.
Except the devil.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I took it as like the person in the red mask, the Mask of the Red Death was, you know, kind of the... It's not really like it's the good guy, it's just more like this is what you get for your bad behavior.
The Harbinger.
It's like a theme in the handful of things I've read from Poe, so...
Poe's Get Some Chronicles.
Get some?
Get some.
Get some Chronicles, I see, yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah,
I always like that Rage Against the Machine line, isn't it? You reap what you fucking Poe. There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, you think about it.
Someone's dad will come up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, anything else to say? Like, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch the rest of them, but it's a pretty heavy-handed, again, like Poe, so I get it, you know, it's just, it could be really good if just some of these little things were fine-tuned a bit.
Do you think it's going to get more grisly?
Yes. I mean, the fucking better. If you have, like, if that's the most horrific things you're going to get, and it's in episode 2,
like
I would be
50 people
annoyed.
melted from acid, I mean...
But you can't see, because this is doing this. Just want to grab the camera. Stop moving. God damn.
Yeah.
You know, I get it, why they do that, you know. Make it feel chaotic and stuff, but... I just think that, like, there's something about the true horror of just, like, sitting on a shot of some things, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's way worse.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about...
Again, this... Sorry.
Just as a quick example, when we were watching some South Park yesterday, the Butters episode where he's tap dancing and kicks his shoe off and everybody gets murdered again. There's like this bit where the camera is low and holding on like a guy blown in half, like trying to shove his guts back inside, and it's just static. And it's only for like a couple seconds, but like that's way more horrific, you know, with his face, like, you know, that's horror.
I've got something in my pocket for you. Put your hand in and give
see
it a
what it
shake.
is.
See what it is. Yeah.
Give it a little squeeze.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, but what's going to be more horrific than? I understand what you're saying about like if it was shot differently, it could have been more horrific. Mm-hmm. So you think that's going to be the bag of tricks? Like we can't get anything more horrific, but we'll shoot it better. Mm-hmm. No, what's going to be the next? What's going to be the grisliest death? If that's not the grisliest death, it could be like someone getting run over by a steamroller. Stop!
Might be too funny. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to find out, definitely. But they'll definitely all have some element of, like, irony to them. Do you know what I mean?
You want screaming. You want
screaming is fucking horrific.
Yeah,
like true, like blood-curdling screams.
Come and see where they're all, like, banging on the doors because they know they're going to get burned alive.
Yeah.
And they're, like, screaming.
Yeah. And that's just... Again, just my opinion, what I would want is, like, a little bit, like, more of a punch to the horror. I would enjoy the kind of juxtaposition of feeling the build-up and, like, looking forward to it, which I think, again, we needed more build-up to, like, really look forward, because, like, you know he's gonna die if you know... And just the basics about... You don't even have to know Poe, you can just guess. Do you know what I mean? Like, this kid's gonna die at the end of this episode with the party. Because, like, when we got the shot of, like, the party's starting and we just see the outside building, and then, like, that girl, like, the lady rolling up and just looking at it, and it's just, like, holding on it, I felt a little moment of, like, ooh, you know, what's gonna happen? And obviously it's gonna be chemicals, but...
They also made out that, Bruce Greenwood's new wife... discount Billie Eilish, is the like world record holder for the amount of not OxyContin she can take. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen there? Is she going to take like one more and like start like turning into like the T-virus monster or something?
See, I don't know, because I don't think that she's been set up as a baddie at all. She's been set up more sympathetically. Like, it seemed pretty clear, like, you know, she has a drug problem, and she did not seem happy regaling that story, really, you know, about how she met him and stuff. So I don't know if we're going to get that necessarily, unless there's way more build-up with her about how she's actually, like, super enabling or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, we're going to open our new headquarters. It's in the shape of a massive pendulum over a pit, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what's more horrific than the, you know, melting everyone, though.
Eaten alive. Just in terms of deaths horrific? In general. Yeah, I'd rather melt than be eaten alive. Yeah. Plus, like, all these people are on acid and stuff, and, like, on ecstasy. Do this shit before they take the drugs. Some of them might be passed out by now.
Yeah, it'd be more horrific.
What's the goal?
If Prospero had, like, gone and drunk it, and then, like, his neck... or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see, you know, I hope that there's some creative stuff in terms of, you know, watching them get their comeuppance, and I just hope that there's more, like, better build-up for them needing a comeuppance, other than just the, you know, like, they're the Sacklers, pretty much.
And
Yeah.
Mark Hamill, do you think he's going to get a comeuppance, or do you think the end shot is going to be, like, him getting on his ethereal horse with the devil, and it turns out he's been a demon all along?
It could be, you know, he is doing kind of a spooky performance.
I mean, he's dressed like a Nazi.
And, like, yeah, the voice he's doing, you know, is kind of... spooked him.
How will the next child die, Bats? That's what he's doing. Yeah, alright, well, what's next?
Do you mind if we take a very quick break first?
No.
Okay.
Why?
So I can use the bathroom.
Fine.
This is my 5th cup of tea in the last 2 hours while waiting for the...
Well, just do what I've been doing and let it go
stop.
on your leg. Alright, yeah.
Okay, cool, thanks.
5 minutes later.
And we're back.
What's next?
What's next? A really interesting documentary with a really terrible name. The full title is Desperately Seeking Soulmate, Escaping Twin Flames Universe. By Prime Video. So, documentary about basically a scam that two people are doing. These two people, let me make sure I get their names right, Shalea and Jeff Ayan.
Shalea and Jeff Ayan.
Ayan, which may be a made-up name.
How do you spell
last
that?
name. Ayan.
Ayan.
Ayan, yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't say I have a real name because if you recall early on, we see like footage of the dude talking about giving himself his guru names and shit. A couple who run a social media, I suppose, business where God tells them who your soulmate is. And you can find out who your soulmate is by taking some of their many online courses that cost, I think the cheapest one was like $100 per month, and the most expensive was like in the thousands. And basically they know, okay, twin flame, I've never heard of this, apparently a term that I guess they just kind of lifted from, like, there's like a whole thing at the beginning we're talking about, like, so-and-so says that, like, some celebrity says that their celebrity partner is their twin flame. Like, it's deeper than a soulmate. It's God has decided who you're meant to be with romantically.
Isn't that what a soulmate is, though? I mean, maybe not God, but soul.
I just always thought of it as a figure of speech, but...
Well, yeah.
You know. No, it's a real physical thing. And your soulmate could be somebody else's wife or husband.
Could be Ryan Gosling.
Could be Ryan Gosling, yeah. So the main critique of their whole thing, other than it's a scam, clearly, it also kind of functions like an MLM, where you can become a coach and start making their content for them, and getting other people to become coaches, and then it all trickles down, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They are accused of a number of things. Trying to convince people that they should switch their gender identity, or get gender transition surgery. And I guess this is because the majority of the people who are members of their group are women. I think I looked at an article briefly as well. It said 90% women, and they realized we've got this dating service. Pretty much kind of a dating service.
Yeah.
Where it's all women, so we'll just start telling some of these women that actually this other woman who is also a member of the group is your soulmate, and should become a man, because they're really into this idea that there is a masculine and feminine partner. Someone has to be the man, someone has to be the woman.
It was also to do with we need someone to marry or to be with Emily. Emily's a straight woman, though.
Yeah.
So, we've only got women, so you'll have to be a straight man. Mm-hmm. Can you live as a straight man, please?
Yeah, because that's what
Deirdre?
I guess what God wants. Yeah, interesting stuff.
And change your name to Dan?
Oh my God, yeah, the text messages. Have you changed your name to Dan? Why haven't you changed your name to Dan? Change your name to Dan. I'm just like, I don't want to change my name, dude. So obviously it's former members of the group who are talking about it, and I guess this was kind of based on an article written by this journalist lady who's kind of narrating. I want to say in like 2020, she first started writing about it. Mm-hmm. Fascinating stuff. I guess for me, a lot of the interesting stuff about it was your typical stuff, you know, why people can fall for this shit. You know, you have a soulmate, yes, and I can get you your soulmate for a nominal fee. But the dude started out doing other kinds of like scams, from what I could tell. He claimed that he could cure cancer with his mind for a nominal fee.
Was that before?
That was before.
Right.
And that didn't work. They kind of went through some other shit that he was doing, trying to be like a spiritual guru. Mm-hmm. He implies a number of times that he, like chuckling, you know, it's a joke, is Jesus reborn. One of the big things was about convincing people that they should stalk their twin flame. It's all positioned as like one person is a runner and one person is a chaser. And you need to chase your twin flame, like encouraging stalking. And yeah, one of the examples, one of their members, they took, because these two people, again, Shalia and Jeff, tell you who your twin flame is. And it may be like you start out saying like, I have a crush on this person. And they're like, yes, that's your twin flame. Yeah. Other times they're like, oh, God told us who your twin flame is. And it's somebody else who's part of the program and paying us money. But one of their members started stalking Ryan Gosling. They told her that Ryan Gosling was her twin flame, and he ended up getting a restraining order. Some spooky, weird shit. Like this whole segment where he's going on about... Because one of the girls, like, they said, like, your twin flame is this guy that you know who's married and has kids, and his wife is pregnant again. And they're just going on about... like joking about like, you know, fuck his marriage, like you need to be breaking that marriage up. And these people look so sad when they're being told this. Yeah. So I've been going on quite a bit. What were your thoughts on it?
The guy, I mean, the way the documentary sort of positioned it at the end, which I think is reasonable, is that they're both as culpable. But the guy, what's his name? Jeff is obviously the talker. And yeah, it just comes across as a discount Billie Eilish, discount Keith Raniere. Yes. He's clearly not got the intellect to pull this off. Yeah. Because he's made a number of fucking strategic errors, which are, I mean, it's a miracle that he got that far. Mm-hmm. Because some of this, I mean, don't make your followers harass celebrities.
That's a good idea. Avoid that, maybe. Yeah.
You know, the whole thing about we've got too many women on our dating pool.
I know. You like... I know. Go ahead.
That's like someone being like, oh man, we got too much gold. I have too many gold bars.
Yeah, like that.
That's golden.
That is so monetizable. We've got a huge data... because I think it said that around the time that the original article was written, they had like 15,000... 20...
Written.
Written.
Not Paul. Paul.
They had like 15,000... followers, like on like YouTube, and then by the time this came out, it's like 40,000 people. Like I think they were saying on Facebook actually is where a lot of their stuff goes on. Who would have thought? So like still got a lot of people.
And when we looked it up, you got a fucking ad.
Yes. Oh yeah, I saved that. When I went to pop over to their YouTube channel and see what's going on there, just Googled Twin Flames Universe if you want to check it out. The very first thing that came up was an ad for Twin Flames Universe. Good job, YouTube. Good job.
I've got to
money from anybody.
Yes, I was going to say, I've got to wonder if YouTube is actually struggling to fill ad space.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's structured quite well as ever. You know, it's quite obscure, isn't it?
It's pretty opaque. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, if you have a group of people who, like, you've convinced you have a soulmate, and you convince them that you can tell them who that soulmate is, and that who you think your soulmate is, actually, you could be wrong, but I know, because God told me. Open a dating site for men. You know? That is such, from just like a business perspective, not the smartest cookie in the drawer. Don't start trying to convince people that they're gay or transgender who aren't, when you could just start a male dating site and be like, I know who your twin flame is. He's on our brother's site, sister site, whatever.
Yeah, if you were going to do this as a successful con, I suppose, you'd forget all that Jesus stuff. You know, I'm the second coming or anything. And the way I'd do it would be like, oh yes, it's not clear who your twin flame is. Blah, 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 blah. You should go on a date with somebody. Nope, he's not the one. And then I just try and actually find, like, from the outside, who do I think this person's compatible with, and then just do that.
Yeah, and then just do it like almost like tarot card reading, even.
Yeah, just,
where it's like, God tells me that you should go on a date with this person. He won't tell me why yet, just that you should. And then you just talk to them about how it went. And if it went badly, yes, God told me just now that this was actually a test for you to learn more about yourself, to prepare you for your twin flame. And if it went really well, boom, that's your twin flame. God told me. $3,000, please.
Tinder have just opened a $500 tier, monthly tier. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have, because you showed me this morning.
Oh.
If you recall.
No.
Who's paying for Tinder?
Men. Horny men.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, you know, they could have done a partnership with Tinder. You know, just find a group that's, you know, which I think is probably most dating sites are probably going to be men. I could be wrong, but I imagine there's more men than women on a lot of them.
Lesbos.com.
Probably not.
But even then, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. And create some kind of a partnership, you know, where you send each other's people over and do co-branded merchandise and, you know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all that said, I guess it was successful. They're living in a McMansion, driving a Corvette, in their house with, like, no furniture in it, and people living in the basement who are their students.
And they also
that was weird.
ate nothing but frankfurters.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, you've got, like, what a weird couple, too. He's, like, you know, like God, what was he saying at one point, like, about that he looks like Jesus? He's like,
because he's got long hair
and the beard and blue eyes and
blue eyes.
What?
He was Middle Eastern.
No. Jesus.
No, he was full on black.
Invented America and was besties with the founding fathers. Did you know?
He invented America.
Yeah, and then his girlfriend, who, yes, the focus a lot is on him. I want to say there was like 3 episodes. There's a lot of focus on him, and I guess that's probably just easier because, yeah, he is the talkative one. He's the Keith Raniere, who's talking people into doing this shit while getting, you know, a woman, or in Raniere's case, women behind the scenes to, like, actually kind of keep the ship together. Do you know what I mean? But it does come across, as you get more into it, like she maybe is the silent partner, but one who definitely is in on this.
She's no victim.
She's not a victim, yeah, is what I would say. I mean, if you recall, toward the end when her dad comes on the documentary, and it's basically like, I've gone no contact with her. What she's done is unforgivable, and I never talk to her now. You know, like...
Good for him.
Good for him, yeah. Balls to be able to, you know, stand up and say, like, this shit's wrong.
You are a very selfish person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're very selfish.
You're very selfish. There's no fixing you. That was pretty good, too.
Yeah. Do you want to say what that was?
Yeah, the...
Jury duty with Pauly Shore.
If you remember the real bling ring case, there was also a new documentary, I want to say on HBO, that is about the ringleader of it, who hasn't spoken up to this point. Netflix had already done a real bling ring documentary series with the other people involved, And that was fascinating, just focusing on her. I don't really have a lot to say about it, other than it was better than the Netflix one. You know, poor me, you know, it's really hard for me. You know, I had a difficult life growing up in like one of the richest neighborhoods in America, and so I decided to break into celebrities' houses and steal their clothing.
You didn't feel any sympathy for her?
Probably. I'm having trouble recalling any, but it probably, you know. It was interesting rewatching that, and then right after that we rewatched the Netflix one, which is very much like, you know, done like an True Hollywood kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas the HBO one it takes itself way more seriously in a good way. But it was interesting rewatching the two of them, and like, yeah, just her pretty much blaming, you know, everybody but herself. Sorry, I didn't really have a lot to say about
No,
that.
you're right. You're right. She never took responsibility, really.
No. Other than, you know, with some kind of vague PR speak here and there. You know, I take responsibility for my actions, but here are the reasons it wasn't really my fault. You know. Not really the same as taking accountability, but yeah.
Yeah. Anything else to say about Twin Flame, or indeed the boobity boo?
Yeah, actually, so this one, Desperately Seeking Soulmate, Escaping Twin Flames Universe, that's on Amazon. It came out like a week and a half ago. Netflix has one about the same topic coming out the first week of next month, and it is made by the same people who did the Nexium documentary. So that could be interesting. I want to see if they notice some of the similar kind of parallels. I mean, I'm inclined to say Keith Raniere was smarter about it.
Definitely he was smarter.
Not a genius or a master concert pianist, and then you hear him like bang, 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 you know. But,
no, I mean, he was smarter and he got a lot further.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this would have turned into in their wildest dreams. They'd have never gotten there.
Yeah.
A couple of morons.
Yeah, I would agree. Very dumb in how they went about it. But that said, Raniere is in prison for the rest of his life now, and there are no charges against these two, so who knows?
It's like that whole thing about like, oh, the world would have been way better off if we had nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis, because we'd have gotten it out of our systems now, and the yield would have been so much smaller. I like that.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else to say about that? I recommend it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check out the Netflix one as well.
Yep.
In a couple weeks.
What's next?
So we're gonna do a frame by frame on this.
Yeah, not shot by shot, frame by frame. This frame's very much the same as the last frame. Kelsey Grammer's kind of still a bit of a... That's better. I've got interlacing on that. Dead Pixel. Let's talk about that. A frame by frame.
So, yeah, Frasier, first 2 episodes of the reboot came out at 3 a.m. Eastern Time.
It's not a reboot.
On Paramount Plus. What would you say then?
It's a canon-led continuance.
Fine. The Frasier sequel, out now.
The Frasier sequel, Frasier.
Well, first of all, just I won't go too long here, but
why not?
Well, because I want to make sure I'm not talking over you, because I have a lot to say about this and thought about it a lot.
Really?
Believe it or not, I also love Frasier.
No, you don't.
Really?
Do you love it though?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, what's Bulldog's real name?
Bulldog. How would I know that?
Bob Bulldog Grisco.
Before we get into it, who's your favorite Frasier character? Not counting Frasier, Niles, the main characters. Like, how about side character? Or both, I don't know.
Oh, Daphne, I suppose.
Daphne. I know you love
Is she a side character? That was a joke. She's clearly
is Daphne your favorite main character, though?
No, Niles.
Yeah, same. Niles, yeah. What about side character then? I just want to know if it's the same as my favorite.
Who's your favourite?
BB.
Yes, I also love BB, yes.
Please. This is going to be great, darling. Like, what? Something word.
Yeah. It's quite a depiction of an agent.
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, no, I really do like BB. Who else was I going to say? I mean, there aren't really that many side characters that are recurring.
Yeah, not really in terms of recurring ones. Yeah.
I mean, I've always been partial to a bit of Fens and Spinners Gil Chesterton.
Yeah. I'm married.
I'll have you know that Deborah is my wife.
We thought that was your cat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Deborah. Deb.
Yeah, I like him too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we started the first episode. We did not watch it at 3 a.m.
Did you want to explain what Frasier is for people who don't know, who've never heard of Frasier?
Nobody's... Who's that in the universe? Okay, you go ahead then. Explain Frasier.
Alright, so Frasier was a TV show that ran from, I think, the very late 80s to the very early 2000s. It might be a bit later than that, actually. I got that wrong. I think it's more like 93 it started. Can't be that much of a fan. But in Britain, it was on constantly, when I was growing up, constantly on Channel 4 at 8:30 a.m. and 9 a.m.
Right, okay.
for some reason.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Just after Everybody Loves Raymond. I guess they just bought them, and there wasn't the same appetite there is now, surely, for stuff like that. So you could see, I'm sure, The Wire they had on Channel 5 really late at night. No fanfare. No, sorry, The Shield they had like that. The Wire or The Sopranos. Sorry, The Sopranos. You know, this huge TV show. They had it at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Probably something to do with the contract. You
Maybe.
can have it and show it, but it must be...
Unwatchable.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I watched it as a kid.
Yeah.
Here, it was on CBS. Yeah, it was a... Yeah. Evening sitcom. I can't remember what time.
Yeah, Sopranos. Great sitcom. Anyway, Frasier. It's about a psychiatrist who lives with his dad.
His dad is a former cop.
Yeah, and he's not a psychiatrist anymore. He's on the radio doing radio psychiatry. And his... Oh God, why am I explaining this? Everybody knows what Frasier is.
No.
His brother Niles is constantly popping around because he's in love with Frasier's maid and Frasier's father's home healthcare worker, Daphne.
Well, she's definitely not the maid, but he treats her like one.
She becomes the maid.
Yeah. Well,
Damien used to watch it, and every time Daphne would speak, he'd go, "Shut up, slave!"
Really? What a champ.
Yeah.
Yeah, Niles is in love with Daphne, and that's a big through line of the series for me. Their dad, Frasier, the two of them are pompous, high society type people. Niles is married to an heiress of
a very rich person. Don't spoil it.
Okay, I won't spoil it. You find out what she's an heiress to.
Yeah.
Frasier's dad, Martin, who's also kind of the real heart of the story, former cop who's like an everyman.
Yeah.
Not into all the fancy shit and What else?
No,
that's about it. Yeah, that's the premise.
Yeah. But you have loads to say about this, do you?
Well, it was interesting watching the new show because I felt like I was seeing a ghost. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we actually sat down for this and pushed play and you get the with the Boston skyline instead of the Seattle. And I think you paused it right there and were like, oh my gosh, that wasn't better. That thing.
Well, that wasn't better.
But then, whatever. And then we get started. Frasier walks in the room, and we have to pause and start cackling at his tan.
Yeah.
He's just moved from Chicago to Boston, and he's got this Southern California beach glow.
Yeah.
Like
He's got the sort of tan you can only have after living somewhere like that for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
At least 5 years, right? I mean, it's not like he's just gone on vacation.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, I'm sure they have tanning beds in Chicago, but, if you've ever been to Chicago, it's not really the kind of place where you get a toasty glow. Whatever. Irrelevant.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter, but I don't think Frasier would.
It gave me a chuckle, though, because he's like 80 years old now.
Kelsey Grammer would, but yeah.
I don't know how old he actually is, but...
Yeah.
He's got to be into his 60s for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, explain
No, you
the
said you
story
had
of the
loads
new
to
one.
say, you say.
I do, no, but you're doing a good job of explaining plots today.
What's the plot of Frasier, the first 2 episodes?
Yep.
Frasier goes to Boston to visit his son, is that right?
Yes, to see his son, who he hasn't had a lot of contact with, and also Niles and Daphne have a son who is basically Niles Light.
I wasn't even going to mention Niles Light, he's not relevant.
He's not, but I thought that was something to do with why he ended up there as well, because Niles Light, that's just what I'm going to call him now, is attending Harvard.
Yeah.
So Frasier was going to visit him as well. Frasier's son, Frederick, dropped out of Harvard, I guess.
Dropped out of Harvard, became a fireman.
Mm-hmm.
So Frasier visits his son, and then through I suppose, a series of farces, which none are very good. They're kind of equivalent to like season 11 Frasier. He finds out that his son is living with a woman and a baby, but he's not with the woman. She's the widow of a colleague, so he's like teamed up with her to kind of like see her through. Mm-hmm. So Frasier's like, well, I'll just buy the fucking building.
Yeah.
Buys the building, rents the like penthouse opposite the dingy 1-bedroom, because that's how buildings work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
moves across the hall from his son.
so it can be like Friends now, where you've got the corridor as a battleground.
And more or less, like, I mean, we kind of like called this a little bit. Like, there could be a situation where, I mean, I didn't think it would be exactly the same thing, but I remember us saying this at one point. Like, so maybe like Frasier and his son move in together, and it's like the Martin Frasier dynamic. Do you know what I mean?
But
like,
opposite.
But opposite. Where, yeah.
Frasier's a snob.
Frasier's a snob, and his son is kind of like an everyman, normal dude. And that's kind of what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
But way less funny and entertaining.
The thing is with that is, I mean, that is a logical place to go with it.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't matter, but that wasn't really Freddy's character in the original series. And yeah, we stopped seeing him after a bit. But,
yeah, that's fair.
But he was...
He was like 8 when we saw him last, but...
You know, quite nerdy and...
Yeah. Taking after his dad and his mom quite a bit. I mean, I don't hate that they did that with...
No.
And people change from childhood to adulthood, you know. I'm fine with that, it makes sense. I guess I kept getting distracted throughout by a number of things. And a lot of it just comes back to the fact that I remember Frasier. The laugh track feels really awkward today. And especially when, I actually wouldn't mind if they kept it there for like nostalgia's sake to keep like the laugh track if the jokes landed. But there really were not a lot of funny jokes.
So is the laugh track the problem, or is the writing the problem?
I think it's the writing. I wouldn't mind the laugh track if it weren't like, there's a really, like a joke that just does not even get a chuckle, and then people are like, oh, 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 oh. You know, hooting and hollering. It just doesn't fit.
Forget the Middle East. They need Jared Kushner on this, because there's no easy solution. There's no.
Yeah.
The only solution is not to play.
The solution is to not make it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I don't think it was needed. But yeah.
Yeah, because it's made by Gramanet or something.
Yeah, his production company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had to do it, and Kelsey Grammer was like, direct it, what would you do?
I would get writers who know how to write comedy.
Would you? Because you try to do that, but would you find them?
Well, the hell if I know. I'm really thinking here. I guess.
Do you know who I'd get actually? Was his name Josh Trank?
Mm-hmm.
I'd get him, and I'd say, I'm paying you the same as a normal writer.
Mm-hmm.
Frasier, Kelsey Grammer, has given me enough for 8 writers, but I'm just hiring you. The rest of that money, I'm going to pocket a bit of it. But the rest of that money, I'm going to buy you loads of cocaine, and I'm going to lock you in here and write whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'll direct it. And I'll direct it however I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you have a vision, and I'll be like, I'm not going to change the script at all, but I'm going to try and make this like a documentary series about the Yellow Submarine.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst also it's very, I don't know,
Yeah.
just anything.
Yeah.
Anything other than this. Just cardboard.
Yeah. I think an issue for me as well is like, I feel like in the original series, they were, like, a lot of the jokes were jokes on Frasier's behalf. You know, like him being, you know, this...
At his expense.
At his expense, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, being this pompous psychiatrist who should fucking know better in all of these, like, very simple, you know, social problems and miscommunication issues. A lot of the humor is, like, in making fun of Frasier,
And
you know?
no one holds his radio program in higher esteem than he does.
Yes, that's right.
You're saying that it should have actually been he tries to get a job at Harvard Psychiatric and they just laugh him out of the room.
Yeah, because because that's part of the plot is while he's in Harvard, this Harvard lady, I don't know, she's like dean or something of the psychology department, and his friend, what's his name?
Rodney.
Yeah. And it's like this lady is like desperately trying to get him to become a professor at Harvard. And that like is just so different from the Frasier that I know and love, who thinks really highly of himself and has like a trashy TV like radio show. You know, but he thinks he's a real psychiatrist. Meanwhile, his brother is a real psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And in this, Harvard's like chasing him, and like that was just like, I don't know, it seemed more tuned toward Kelsey Grammer's ego, and maybe the original series was like that, but it didn't come across as much. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he had that much control at the beginning.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas now he obviously has control over it.
Yeah. Like,
you know, which makes sense because that's the real reason why David Hyde Pierce and Jane Leaves didn't come back, because he was a nightmare to work with, because he was a drunk.
Yeah.
And he was getting drunk on set.
On set, yeah. Yeah, little known Frasier fact, a lot of times when he's drinking sherry and things out of the bottle, that's real alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of, I'm not trying to say that the original series was toothy necessarily, but this is like really toothless. And I don't mean in terms of like it being anything important. I don't need that in a sitcom, you know. I just need to laugh. And a lot of the humor is just missing.
Dud proof.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Frasier was like the smartest thing, but it was smart.
Yeah.
It was quick.
Yeah.
You know.
And it was pretty smart and it's funny. I mean, here's a good comparison maybe.
Do you know who Golda Meir is? I didn't.
Yeah. Okay, you remember in the original Frasier,
No.
I can't remember which season, but where Frasier and Lilith are trying to get Frederick into a private school, and because they're both kind of, you know, esteem chasers in a sense.
Yeah, the Golda
and
Meir
they're like
episode.
stalking, and harassing the guy that runs this like exclusive private school, and it's really funny, like how pathetic it is, and
Sorry.
And then in this, it's like, you could have had that, like, Frasier wants to be a professor at Harvard. And you could really, like, get so much humor out of that. Doing just a really similar kind of thing. With him harassing the dean and, you know, like, him, like, wanting this so badly. But when we were watching it, I was like, do you think that Harvard is, like, chasing down Dr. Phil? Like, can you come be a professor here? No, that's not happening. You know, it's a different thing, you know. It'd be a lot funnier if he were the one chasing them instead of them chasing him and then him being like, oh, hell right.
You're right. Like, where did the tension in the first outings come from? Niles and Daphne or Frasier's career.
Yeah.
Or I'm
And
gonna lose
with
my job.
also some Martin of trying to inject a sense of like self-awareness into Frasier that he can just never quite grasp. You know. Yeah, a lot of and they did it funny. And this was just a bit too
Not funny.
not funny.
Too much like watching The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, you said that when we were watching it, yeah.
Because
Because of the
shots, actually.
And Niles Jr.
Oh yes, Sheldon.
well.
Yeah, Sheldon. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think that Kelsey Grammer still has his charisma.
Yeah.
He still got it, you know. It's just the writing's not good.
I laughed a couple of times. There's a bit where Kelsey Grammer's got his arm in front of a door and someone's trying to come through it, and I thought that was funny.
I chuckled when the girl with the baby across the hall realizes that Frasier's voice is soothing to the baby and will put it to sleep, and then she confronts him at his door like, "Please, I just really need you," and he's like, "Oh, I have that effect." And that was like the old Frasier for just a moment, you know, his kind of egotistical pompousness and, you know.
I don't think I can't remember, when did Niles meet Daphne? Like episode 3 or 4 of season 1, something like that.
It's pretty quick.
So they could introduce, we're only on episode 2, they could introduce a element like that. You know, because we do need something. We've just got to the point where his son's moved in with him reluctantly.
Yeah. And then kind of arguing about the decor. There were some chuckles, yeah, where his son is like, I've got this box with dirt from like Fenway in it, and Frasier, and you know, can we decorate with this? And Frasier's like, yes, saying like, you could feel welcome to have your things here. And he takes it and he's like, how about on the shelf? And then he puts it on the shelf. He's like, and then maybe, and he grabs some books and puts it in front of it. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
You know, but like, because like elements of the old Frasier, you know.
I wonder if we're going to introduce another character, i.e. a maid.
I wouldn't be shocked, because a lot of the characters that was also something that I found a bit obnoxious, is that we are like rejoining Frasier, but then we're introducing all these other characters kind of in quick succession that are basically placeholders for the people who aren't coming back to the series. And, you know, and that's just kind of, I thought all those actors were fine. It's just kind of
It was a bit
sad.
awkward.
Yeah.
It looked like TV. Like I say, Big Bang Theory. It looked like TV from like 10 years ago. Big Bang Theory.
I never watched that.
There goes the dog. What was I going to say? Yeah, I wonder if they're going to introduce someone for like the son to fall in love with or something like that, or...
I wonder if he's just going to fall in love with the girl with the baby.
But there needs to be a reason why that can't work out, i.e. Niles was married.
There needs to be some tension.
Yeah, or Daphne was dating someone.
A reason for it to... Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we did get introduced to one more character who is kind of, in some way a romantic interest for one of them, but not Frasier. I mean, I will say I'm glad that they didn't try to just make it, you know, like Frasier's still, like, dating people, and that's, like, what the whole story is, because that would be a little bit pathetic for... Not that people who are, like, you know, 60, 70 years old, how old he is dating is, like, a big deal. That's cool. But, like, a lot of the humor with the old series of Frasier and his, like, constant dating problems was, like, number one, like, he's in, like, his 30s, and he's a psychiatrist, and he, you know, counsels people all the time on how to deal with, like, relationship problems, and he's so bad at it, you know? And I'm glad that they didn't try to just do exactly that still, because I just don't like, I don't know, I just think that would be, like, extremely boring, you know?
They could have made it darker and gone for, like, Frasier's sort of at his natural end point, and he's, like, setting up an OnlyFans to sell feet pics. Something.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it, but I mean, I found myself constantly distracted by, like, the ghost of what was, you know.
Can you think of any series that have gone from 20 minutes or 23 minutes long to half an hour and been successful, and it felt better. Because everything I can think of that ended up with longer time lengths, like Arrested Development, where they did that, like, yeah, it made me think, like, oh no, its time slot kind of, fit it.
Yeah, I can't think of an example. I would say that...
Like some of the longer South Park scenes, we've been watching that. Like, yeah, like when they're like 2 parts or 3 parts.
Or the specials, like the pandemic specials
Yeah.
and stuff, I just thought were a bit...
Yeah, I think it works way better when it's shorter.
Yeah, I mean...
And punchy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I think Aqua Teen is one of those shows where, like, the length of it really helps it to have more punch, and, like, it feels like it's like a joke a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that said, I mean, I like the Aqua Teen movies as well, so I guess you can do it. Yeah, I can't think of an example off the top of my head of where there's been, like, a somewhat dramatic time, like, length shift that has worked well, but, I mean, there must be good examples of that.
Yeah, I wonder why they did that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why you would do that.
It's as long as it used to be with a commercial.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm inclined to say, honestly, I wouldn't care if they were 40-minute episodes so long as they were funny. You know?
Yeah.
And not, this wasn't very funny overall. Some funny moments, but a lot of that time felt a bit wasted. There's also much more emphasis on, like, at least so far, kind of the drama element of, like, trying to connect better with my son, and, just, that isn't really what I wanted.
There's an element as well of, like, it's a bit sad, really, the same character, and maybe not so much because Frasier is successful, but if we saw, like, a 50-year-old Steve Urkel and he was still Steve Urkel, that'd be way less cute.
Mm-hmm. Well, that got way less cute when Jaleel White was, like,
30.
16. When he started getting much bigger.
Yeah, he's, like, shot up, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, what did you think of the little Martin tribute at the end of the first episode, I believe?
I didn't think it was horrific.
No, it made me sad, though.
It made me sad as well. Like,
and it was only, like, 2 seconds long as well, and...
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're, like, taken, like, a clause in a sentence he was speaking, whereas clearly they should have had him going, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, or something funny.
I think that'd be a more fitting tribute. Yeah. Just, I don't know, man. I think it's a situation where, like, my love for the original series really...
Casts a shadow.
It's cast a shadow. It kind of gets in the way, You can't help but just be making comparisons. So I couldn't even just, like, try to, like, properly just take it in for what it is when there's always that shadow of how great it used to be.
Well, there you go. Do you have anything else to say about Frasier?
No, do you?
Not until I talk to Damien about it, I suppose, at great length. Although I doubt we'll talk about it. Just talk about, what if they went on an adventure with some sausages?
What if they accidentally went over the Canadian border and then had to smuggle Daphne back in?
Yeah.
Funny shit. Yeah. No, I really don't have anything else to say. I mean, I'll watch the rest of it. Do you know how many episodes there are? Because I have no idea.
No, I think 10.
Okay. Wow.
But I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else to say?
No. How about you?
No. Good. All right. I guess we're done then.
Yeah. We'll talk about episode 3 next week, I'm sure.
It'll be done.
It's gonna be done.
It'll be done. All right.
Do you don't want to share that with the references too?
Oh, was that a campfire like a few months. It's not that interesting.
Memorial Day.
Memorial
We went
Day.
to a barbecue at my mom's house and
And there was like a 6-year-old kid who was cooking my sausage for me.
yeah, making hot dogs over a campfire and
And that's a direct quote from him.
yeah, he was really interested in making George hot dogs specifically, and you kept telling him like, I like it like done, more done. It's like it's gonna be done, and then like shoves this thing with a hot dog like 2 inches from your face, and he made you like 10 of them.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. Animals don't mind me. That's why I've never been stung by a bee. And children just love to make me food.
Children like you, just
Yeah.
so you know. Uncle George.
Do you know who else? Do you know who else likes me? Animals like me. Children like me. Do you know who else likes me? Homeless people. They can't get enough of me.
And they like me too.
They always come up to me and have a chat.
Yeah, same.
And I'm blessed for that. Thanks very much for watching.
Cheers.